Hello everyone.
Hi.
Okay, let's wait for 3 minutes more, then we'll start the session.
Yeah,
Yeah, Ayushman, let's wait for 3 more minutes.
no problem.
Hello everyone. Thanks for joining our webinar. So, we have a few guidelines for this webinar. Please be attentive and interactive during the session. If you are comfortable, please switch on your camera. Keep your microphone on mute unless you are speaking. We'll give you the quick information about the Snowlabs, who we are, and what we are doing in trainings. So, Snowlabs is an emerging information technology, IT training, and consulting services company headquartered in Gurugram. We have been existence for more than 3 years. Our services, we conduct career transformation workshop in trainings such as GRC, ServiceNow, Archer, SAP, OneTrust, and other cutting edge technologies. Our achievements, we deployed around 100 plus content consultant for full-time and part-time and permanent employees to various major MNCs. We are vendors of EY, Oracle, and Accenture. We'll give you the brief information about the trainer. We have trainer Ayushman. He is having around 12 plus years of experience in technical architect and more than 5 years of experience in training. He is skilled in ServiceNow solution design, development, and integration with various modules like TPRM, IRM, BCM. Let's go to the quick agenda of the session. Hi, Ayushman.
Hello. Hi.
Yeah. So from there, you can take over.
Okay. Thanks for giving me the mic. I'll just share my screen and we will start with the TPRM session right now. Please let me know once my screen is visible. Is my screen visible?
Yes, now we can see that.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Ayushman, and I am here to provide you the basics of TPRM today. It's basically what is the importance of TPRM in present world, and why ServiceNow has switched to TPRM as an entire module, and why ServiceNow has dedicated a implementation exam for this module. And before starting, I would like everyone I would like to inform everyone that if you are aware of ServiceNow since 2018 or 2019, the whole of GRC was a small module, not even a module. It was built because of our customer demands. So when ServiceNow saw that there is a demand of GRC and the TPRM and the various risk management modules within ServiceNow. So then actually ServiceNow switched to a module dedicated to governance, risk and compliance, and TPRM, which is one of the main pillar of GRC module. So as the name implies, I will start with the basic introduction. Why this TPRM came into picture. So you must be wondering, there are many companies in which you all guys might be working, and all those companies might be dependent on various other companies on availing their services like food services, raw material services, be it a very nominal kind of service like electricity services, or the credit, or you can say any type of hardware requirement if we are taking laptops from Dell, HP, etc. So these are all the third parties for your company. So before starting this introduction, I would like you to imagine yourself in an IT company already, and in an IT company, there must be a different vendors which you guys might not be interacting directly with, but your higher management will be interacting. Like they will be availing the hardware services, the cloud services, or the food services, the electricity services. So those are third party for you as an individual of your IT company. So there comes the picture of risk management within the third parties. So now the basic definition of TPRM is to, I'll move to the next slide. So it is a process of ensuring that the use of all those service providers to your IT company and supplier does not create an potential disruption of business. Means, suppose you are an IT company manager and you are taking help you are taking a food supplier as the person who is going to supply food for your IT company. So so that in order to ensure that there is no potential disruption of the business throughout your entire journey, there won't be any disruption. So you manage all those risks. You take the third party contact information, their backup numbers. If they are not coming, what is the plan B for you? So these are all remediation techniques like maintaining the plan B and etc. So all those things comes into the picture of third party risk management. In other words, I would just simply say it is managing the risk associated with a potential uh, associated with a supplier or a third party, and so that the business is not impacted. So now if I take another example, suppose the IT company which you are in, you are a manager over there, and you are taking some cloud services, let's say from Amazon Web Services. And in order that there is no impact on the services provided by the cloud services. So you manage certain risk factors. You apply some controls objectives. So in order to ensure that the smooth process is maintained throughout, you ensure you actually implement TPRM at your side, third party risk management, so that there are always the remediation plan, the identification plan is there, so that there is no negative impact on the business flow. So this is about why we need TPRM. Moving to the next slide. Why now comes the importance of TPRM? I think some of them I have covered in the previous examples. The third parties examples I would like you to concentrate are there are various examples of third parties like advertising agencies, business partners, consultants, credit card processing centers, data centers, and employee benefits provider. Like you, if you are in IT company, there must be a dedicated payroll system allotted to you, and your company is taking the services of the payroll system, or maybe a TPA, the third party insurance provider. So all those insurance company, payroll company, etc., serves as a third party for your organization. So in order to maintain that there is no disruption of the business, then we actually use TPRM so that the proper remediation steps are being taken care of. And we all know what is the definition of the third party, which is anyhow associated with your organization, either in a business relationship or any kind of interaction, like I told about the food interaction, food supplier, which supply the food, which supply electricity, all those are third party for your organization. So now the question arises, why we need TPRM? Basically, the some of the factors I have already covered, but basically there is a trend of specialization and outsourcing nowadays. You might be seeing in your respective organizations that we are going towards specialization, means specialization in consulting, not bothering about the other factors, specialization in hardware, not bothering about the other factors. And if we are bothering about the other factors, that is being taken care of by outsourcing. So because of this trend, because of specialization and outsourcing, modern companies are actually building up a massive network of interconnected relationships that go beyond the organizational boundaries. So because of this, a company is dependent on another company, and similarly, a network has been created, which is enabling a organization um, to interact with any kind of suppliers or the third party which they want. So what does TPRM do over here? The ServiceNow TPRM actually enables organization to reduce the risk which might be associated, connect key stakeholders like uh, the primary contacts, etc. Might be of the third party is in contact with the ServiceNow admin, enhance the resilience and compliance across the third-party ecosystem. There also falls the compliance factor as well. Suppose any supplier is not meeting the demands, the basic level of eligibility for a particular organization, then we can make that vendor or supplier as non-compliant. So one thing I want everyone to note that I'm using the word vendor and third party interchangeably because both are same. Uh, Previously, this TPRM was known as vendor risk management. So I will in my upcoming training session, I will guide how the prefixes of a ServiceNow table, which was earlier SN underscore VRM, is now being converted into SN underscore TPRM. So I will use this term vendor and third party interchangeably during my entire training. So both are actually the same. Uh, so we saw in this slide that why we need the TPRM and why the demand for the TPRM rose to a next level in the as you might have seen in the past few years and the upcoming as well. So now I think we all understood about TPRM, the necessity of TPRM. Now we will understand in ServiceNow what all the services we have. So in ServiceNow, there are 6 major capabilities within ServiceNow, and I would try to explain each one briefly. So uh, in this slide, we can see that we will maintain a third-party portfolio. So by portfolio means taking the third-party primary contacts, taking their address, taking their taking their government ID cards, valuable documents, maintaining it in our database uh, so that any fraud vendors is not associated with with our organization. So all those comes under the third-party portfolio. Then comes inherent risk questionnaire. Inherent, by word inherent, we means natural. Means natural because whenever a third party is associated with the organization, there must be a natural risk that might be coming in. Let's take the example of a credit card company. Suppose I am a major credit card issuer in a country, and I depend on a plastic supplier which provides me plastic for creating the credit cards. So whenever that organization is associated with that plastic credit card company, there comes be a natural risk. Suppose in the market, plastic production drops. So there is a natural risk that the credit card would not, company would not be able to issue new cards. So these are some of the examples of a natural risk which might be coming in. So what we ServiceNow presents, there is a questionnaire. Questionnaire means the set of questions which we have, which are either standards or can be customized as per the organization demands. So those questions are maintained in a inherent risk questionnaire, which we call as IRQ. Then we have external assessment management, like the responses we receive from those questionnaire by the third party. Then the assessment and risk calculation takes place. So these type of management comes under external assessment management. Then we have assessment portal. We have a dedicated portal which is publicly available outside the ServiceNow instance, so that the third party can log in and provide their information like documents, the phone number, etc. So we have a dedicated portal outside ServiceNow instance so that the security constraint is maintained. There is no problem of security and the allow and uh, basically new data is not our confidential data is not exposed to the third party. So that we have a dedicated portal which will actually ensure that there is no data breach from the management side. So for those purpose, we have assessment portal. We have issues and remediations. Suppose there is a issue, there must be a. Sorry, is anyone asking question? I'll continue. I'll take it as a no. Issues and remediation is a potential uh, issue which we see for before uh, before contacting a third party. If we see a potential issue that might be a future hazard for our organization, then we take those, we can log those as a issues, and there are proper remediation steps for those so that it might not be coming in future. Also, third parties allows TPRM in ServiceNow allows integration with other ServiceNow applications like policy and compliance management, change management, etc. There are various as well as risk management. So basically, the TPRM score which gets calculated can be carried forward to other ServiceNow application, and it is quite easily integrated. These are the just pictorial representation of the capabilities of ServiceNow, which I just told. Third-party portfolios, IRQs, asset management, assessment portals, issues, and integrations. So these are the key capabilities of ServiceNow. So now, if I talk about little bit about integration, as you can see in your screen, the TPRM application integrates with other application in the GRC suite. Uh, as I just told in the starting that TPRM is one of the main pillar within the GRC application. You can, as we all know that in the GRC we have control objectives, and in TPRM we have questions in questionnaire. So what we can do, how the basic integration happens, we can apply our control objectives with a question in a questionnaire, and suppose the third party answered that question unsatisfactory, means negative answer was provided. then we can make that control objective as non-compliant or not, or you can say we can take the risk score and carry it forward in the risk management. So in this way, the score which is calculated via questions in questionnaire in TPRM can be um, carried forward to risk management via control objectives. So this gives actually the company the top-down traceability from an authority document to the question in questionnaire for a specific third party. So basically, these are all interconnected. If a organization wants to use TPRM as a standalone project, then ServiceNow welcomes it. And if a company wants to use ServiceNow along with the GRC suite, then also it is very quite possible. And definitely most of the companies, because of the low cost, take entire GRC suite as the implementation suite for their organization. So that's why TPRM is definitely in picture for most of the GRC associated companies. So that's why it's very popular nowadays. And most of the major financial institutions are actually making it TPRM as very mandatory thing. And ServiceNow is one of the top most provider of the TPRM implementation. So moving forward, there are few terminology which are very widely used in TPRM space. Like the third party, which I've already told, it can be called as vendors, supplier, contractors, etc. And engagement. Engagement is the term which some of you might be aware of, but engagement is actually the formal relationship that organization intends to form with a third party that could potentially expose the organization to risk. Means if we are interacting anyhow with the third party, means if I want their, let's say in the Indian context, if we want the Aadhaar card from the third party, so we will be creating an engagement request, and that engagement request from will be uh, sent to the third party, and that Aadhaar card will be sent to the organization. So in this way, any interaction, any formal relationship between an organization and the third party is actually called as engagement in TPRM terminology. What do you mean? And then comes the risk assessment. Risk assessment, as the name implies, it's basically assessment of the risk. Means whatever the questions and whatever the responses which we have received from the third party, what are the risks associated with that is a risk assessment. Moving to the next slide. So as I was talking about questions all time, so I'll now bit dig down on the question. So we have the questionnaire templates. Questionnaire templates is a set of questions which we present to the third party in order to receive their responses. So suppose I'm an organization and I want a particular third party to be connected with me. So I will present them a set of questions first so that they answer those questions. And on the basis of the answers which we received from the third party, we categorize those vendors as a high risk vendor, low risk vendor, and a medium risk vendor. I'm telling you on a very high level how those answers help us to tier those vendors. But there are various other factors associated which we will talk during our training. So in this span of the interaction between the third party and the organization, we also request certain documents from the third party. So those templates are known as document request templates. And overall, these two, questionnaire templates and document request template, are combinedly called as assessment templates. As you can see in your screen, this is the questionnaire template, this is the document request template, and both are combinedly known as assessment template. So in other words, I would say these are basically the first level of information which we are requesting from a vendor while onboarding a new vendor. And this questionnaire template would contain a certain set of questions. And this document request template would be the ask for a document from a particular third party. So both these combined are collectively known as assessment template in the ServiceNow space. As I little bit introduced about you the issue part. So basically when we see a potential any answer to the particular question is not meeting our organization's standard, then we create a issue. A third party risk issue is created to document a potential risk and determine necessary remediation. Means if that issue can be remediated by a certain set of documents, by a certain set of information, then we create a issue and we ask for a certain set of information from the third party. If they are able to provide and if they are able to satisfy the organization compliance or the demands, then the issue is closed. Otherwise, that issue remains. And this issue actually helps us to identify what are the open threads we have with the associated third party. So after the issue is identified and assessed, appropriate remediation can take place, which can actually mitigate those issue or eliminate the issue if the satisfactory response is received from the third party side to the organization side. So this is the architecture which we will be deep diving in our training, upcoming training. As I've already explained, this is the whole assessment template, and the whole green part which we see on this side is internal. Internal means ServiceNow side, and this is the external. This is the third party which is coming in. So let's suppose it's a credit card company and it's a plastic vendor, plastic supplier. So this whole you can say teal blue thing is an external vendor, and this is the green thing is ServiceNow side. So from ServiceNow side, uh, let's say it's actually onboarding architecture. So we have requested the assessment template from here, and a third party record is created on the ServiceNow side. Third party record, what do you mean by third party? We have the third party record as the name of the third party, the address of the third party, the primary contact, their email address, etc. So those records are actually stored in ServiceNow side. And then we have this interaction. This white color thing is third party portal, which I have told that this is a completely dedicated portal in ServiceNow, which is open to the third party, so that the third party won't directly integrate, or you can say won't directly interact with the ServiceNow. They just log into this portal and they provide the necessary information, documents, etc. using this portal. So over here, this third party record is created. The third party contacts is created by uh, for assessment and engagement in the portal itself. The instance or engagement is done on the portal itself. The response which we have received from the third party is handled in the portal itself. And then this comes the optional thing that I was talking about, that it can be integrated to core GRC part, that is risk management, audit management, compliance management. So the score which gets calculated can be used anywhere, risk, audit, compliance, and this is the owner of the instance. And also, I would like to tell about we have the feature of child third party as well. Suppose this third party is have different types of further childs, which this third party itself is taking the services from any other third party for them. So actually, for the service now, it will be a fourth party, but here we term that as a child third party, which we will talk about the fourth party and the information, how to store that information, which we will talk about in detail in our training process, how those records are maintained and what are the dedicated tables we have in service. So now let's just talk about the assessment portal. As I told that it's a dedicated portal and it's a commonly referred to as third-party portals. It consolidates all communication between the third party and the organization. So this is the gist of the portal, that all the communications which happens between the third party and on an organization is done through portal itself. So we know that assessments are shared via the third-party portals, and the future assessments can be scheduled so that they show in the third-party portal automatically. So these are some of the assessment portals features which I was talking about earlier. So moving forward, so let's just talk about certain technical things as well. So internal users, again, internal means ServiceNow users. We very well know that they are assigned the role of SNC internal. The external users are assigned the role of vendor contact. Now the question arises, what is external users? So external users are third-party users, and users for what? Users for third-party portal. So suppose I am a vendor, and I am the primary contact for that vendor. So I will be definitely granted this vendor contact role and also this SNC external role. Because of these two roles, vendor contact and SNC external, I will never be able to log in onto the internal side. That means on the ServiceNow side, so that I will never be exposed to the internal data. In this way, ServiceNow data is maintained, the safety is maintained, because I am only authorized to log in into the portal, SVDP portal, and not into the ServiceNow instance. So in this way, all the other data is completely blocked from the ServiceNow, from the third party. So and this thing is mentioned that the third party, whenever the contacts are created, the vendor contact and XNC external roles are automatically given so that they are allowed to log in onto the assessment portal. Moving forward, these are the certain examples which I will be using, which I have used from the Now Learning portal, but I'll be using in our training process. Uh, there are there you can see that this is Taylor. This is the third party risk admin, which I'll tell you in future. What is the admin? What is the third party risk management? What is the role of assessor? What is the role of reviewer? I'll talk about this in the upcoming slides. So this is all the technical details. Like there are various roles associated in ServiceNow TPRM. Some of them were quite popular, like vendor reader, vendor assessor, vendor risk manager, vendor admin. I'll talk about this during our training as well as in the later part of the slide. Um, Now, I was talking about the third-party contacts, which comes under the third-party portfolio. So, in now the question is in the service now. Let's go back 2-3 slides. So, this third-party record now is stored in which table? So, let's see in the ServiceNow side if we enable TPRM. So those are actually stored in the core company table. There we have the column of vendor, is vendor. So if it is true, then it is actually a third party contact. So it's stored in the core company table, which is a out of the box table. Now the contacts of those that vendor is stored in the VM VDR contact table. It's a out of the box table and it comes under the TPRM, and also it is present as well in the plain vanilla suite as well. So the table name is VM VDR contact. These stores the third-party contacts records. So this is, you can say, the vendor management workspace view of our vendor. As you can see, there are risk rating associated with a vendor. If it is a moderate risk vendor, a high risk vendor, or a low risk vendor, so we can see it's a moderate risk, and the vendor name is Vast Corporation. This is the vendor manager associated. Currently the status is active. The tiering is done, which you can definitely customize. The managers are there. One or more manager could be provided over here. Um, Moving to the other part, we have the questionnaire tab dedicated in the workspace, the document request. Suppose certain documents are required, so we have a dedicated tab associated, the task associated. This is actually SAM flyby, which is a primary contact for a particular vendor. The first name, last name, email, user ID, whether it's a primary contact or not, and what is the vendor name. Vendor name was Vast Corporation, which we have seen in the previous slide. So this is the primary contact for the Vast Corporation. So one very important point I would like everyone to note, that there can be a one primary contact for a particular vendor. So as you can see, SAM flyby is a primary contact. So that's why we have a checkbox checked. and the other contacts would be the secondary contacts, not the primary one. Sam Flyby will remain the primary contact. Now, if I dig down more on the engagements and due diligence, what do you mean by due diligence? Actually, due diligence is a very not new, but it's very popularly associated with the ServiceNow TPRM process. And this due diligence, which you will see in the training, that whenever the manager approves the request, the due diligence is started. And the due diligence during the due diligence process, there are various other various stages through which a vendor undergo before onboarding into the uh, main ServiceNow instance for a particular organization. So as I have now, let's talk about engagements. Engagements are the driving force for the TPRM. TPRM engagements are created for a particular product or service provided by a third party. So as I told, any kind of interaction which is happening between an organization and third party falls under the engagement. But this engagement also holds some of the issues, and those issues can track the engagement to remediation. So this is one of the things we can see in this diagram, that the engagement is associated with business services, tiering, issues, remediation, contacts, every kind of interaction, whether the contact creation is there or remediation is there. So those term is actually an engagement. Any issue is there, any tiering is there, any kind of assessment is there, those interaction with which we do with the third party is known as engagement. So this is just an overview of the request process for onboarding a third party. So first of all, I would inform you that the, the most widely use of the third party risk management is onboarding a third party. And onboarding, because during onboarding, we present them various set of questions. We ask for various documents. And if those factors are satisfactory for our organization, then only the organization allow that third party to do business with us. So that is actually a green flag, uh, which the service now provides for onboarding a third party. So this diagram, which you can see in the bottom of your screen, this is actually a onboarding request, which we very high level process, where uh, the process is written, how the onboarding takes place. So if I talk you about this, so whenever there is a need to engage a third party at the product, a request for third party due diligence is created from the employee center. There is an employee center. So what does SSR do over there? SSR is the role which I'll be talking about, but SSR logs into the employee center and it creates a third party due diligence record. As the engagement is defined in this request, the employee specifies the engagement location and identifies a primary contact for the engagement. Once I'm in this stage, once the request approves that the request should move forward, the owner of that onboarding process actually starts the onboarding. At this point, the engagement record is created. So, in a nutshell, if I explain this slide to you, that it's a pre-check for onboarding a particular third party, and what set of questions we should possess, we should present them to the third party so that they can answer and we can take our decision whether this third party is right for our organization or it's not right. So basically, this entire request process is done by the ServiceNow team, the ServiceNow admins on the ServiceNow side. They create certain requests and they associate a primary contact. They apply a particular question template with this request and ask for the answers. So then this actually, if I talk about this section of the diagram, so the response is received on the IRQ side, then it get approves, then it is sent to the IRQ side. So it's a very detailed process, which I will explain all those things in the various training sessions. So it's just the high level, the bird eye view of the entire TPRM onboarding process. So I'll just talk a little bit about the IRQ process. IRQ is definitely inherent risk questionnaires. So before any kind of assessments are being sent to third party, internal assessment is completed from our side. Means I'm a part of organization and I wish to avail the third party services. But before going to the third party, internal assessment means between the assessor, which is in ServiceNow side, and the manager. There is a internal questions take place. The questions is like this: what is the nature of the third party which is coming in? What will be, where are their data centers? What is the nature of their business profile? What is the score they have? Is by the term score means what is the reputation they have? So these type of assessments are done internally within our ServiceNow space before going to the third party. So then comes the inherent risk questionnaire. So this is why after the assessment is internally completed, then we start the onboarding process. So this is actually written over here. After the request for due diligence is approved by the manager or the request owner, the assignee is the ServiceNow guy, completes the inherent risk assessment by responding to the IRQs. The due diligence owner reviews the response. If the due diligence owner is satisfied with the response, the inherent risk assessment is closed. Then the due diligence process starts. So basically, we as organizations are quite sure. We have talked internally. I am a manager. I have talked internally to my assessor that everything is fine with the upcoming third party. Now we can start their onboarding process. So that there is the there lies the point where the due diligence process starts. So more on this would be discussed during training. I'm just giving you the high level process, what exactly is done and what is the motive behind all this IRQ process. This is very detailed part of the IRQ where a particular manager is not satisfied with the third party, and we want certain elements collection. Means we want certain more information from the third party before giving a green flag that this third party can be onboarded. So this thing is known as element collection as a part of IRQ process. So there is a dedicated button for that, and a particular element can be collected, like more information, more documents can be collected from the during the IRQ, and that can actually clear the confusion in the mind of TPRM manager. So basically, IRQ is generally, we know that it is an interaction between the internal stakeholders, ServiceNow people, but if some of the stakeholders are not satisfied, they want certain more information, so we coined that term as element collection. So this is actually the diagram which we will be taking care in our training. On the left hand side, on the green side, we have the requester. So during our training, all this workflow will be divided into various sessions, and we will be seeing how the internal assessment is being taken care, which I was talking about in the previous slide, internal assessment. After that, we have the collect information, which is an optional thing. If a manager wants but something information, then the element information is there, and the external assessment process starts over here. So this is very high level diagram, which we will be taking care in the future. The tiering. Now comes the very interesting part, the tiering. So basically, we have in ServiceNow out of the box TPRM suite, we have these type of tiering available. Like suppose if a vendor response is received and the score which they actually secures lies between 80 to 100, then we term those vendors as a moderate low risk vendor. Similarly, if the score lies between 60 to 80, then we term this as a moderate risk vendor. So basically, this is a tiering process which we can definitely customize, and based on the questions weightage, we actually tier those vendors, and basically as we have seen that this is a state, this is the tiering templates, which are various templates are present, and customizable templates are there. So tiering means we tier those vendors into various tiers like medium risk, high risk, and low risk vendors. And also the frequency of which, because there, suppose a vendor is onboarded and we want to again fetch certain information from that vendor again. So we can set the frequency of the tiering assessment, so that in future, if their tiering is changed, we can accordingly manage somehow. So there is the frequency of sending the questionnaires, which we can control when to send, at what time it can actually trigger. Suppose the business reputation of a particular third party is not up to the mark, it's in the news that some bad thing happened with the third party. So TPRM manager can take the assessment again and fetch again the information from the vendors, whether it is good to continue with this third party or not. So that is the frequency of the assessments which we can send to the third party. Okay. These are the certain assessment under the TPRM space. We have the various assessment setups available. There are the assessment templates, questionnaire templates, document request templates. Both make up the assessment templates. So ServiceNow provides certain out-of-the-box templates as well, whereas definitely you can create your own customized template and ask for a particular document or information or a question from the third party, and you can use in your due diligence process. So here is the assessment setup navigation thing, where you can definitely um, select your navigation thing. This is again the main, just a revisit of the concept that questionnaire and document request template makes up the assessment template. So it's just a assessment template equation which I portrayed over here. Um, we have the designer as well. As I was saying, that questions can be definitely customized. So we have a dedicated questionnaire template designer where you can name your question, you can provide your description, you can provide your controls like Boolean value or choice value, or you want the text value or the percentage value. So basically, you can create the questions which you can present to your third party based on the organization demands. And this template designer will create a new template which can be used anywhere in your A third party, B third party, and N number of third parties. You can use this template. Very important, we have SIG questionnaire plugin. SIG, by SIG, we know this SIG is known as Standard Information Gathering. It's a worldwide standard, you can say, which is available for integrating with GRC. We have the plugin which can be integrated, SIG questionnaire integration, and this plugin holds certain set of questions. Like we have various standards set over there in the world, like HIPAA, NIST, PCI DSS. Some of them maybe you might be aware of, but like we have in India, we have PCI DSS, Payment Card Industry Data Security Standards, which is very much important for a financial organization. So those kind of questions, uh, if we want on by own, so that's come the picture of SIG. So it's a set of standard questions. Definitely, we can integrate with SIG and use those questions in our template. So this SIG questionnaires can be integrated within ServiceNow, which we will be talking in the future. There are various levels of questions which are present in the SIGs, like SIG 2023, 2022. These are very widely, this SIG is very widely be used within the industry, and these questions are basically a set of standard questions where every organization should provide an answer to these questions so that they are compliant. Basically, they are in the green zone. They are in the safe zone. These are the templates which we have. document request templates. As I was talking, that assessment templates combines of questionnaire templates and the document request templates. So this is the screen for that. The template name is known as the strategic partner, and under that we have various questionnaire templates, various document request templates, and there is a new and edit button also available, so that you can create new questionnaire and the document request template. The the validity is also there, the duration is also there, that you have to answer as a third party, you have to answer within 30 days. You can definitely use any value you wish to use. So this is the life cycle which we will be following while onboarding, that this a particular vendor would be in the draft state, then it will be submitted to a third party. The questions and the document, basically the assessment template is submitted to the third party. Then we shall await for the response. When the responses are received from the third party, then we shall create observations, or by observations I mean to say if there are any issues, etc. So those observations would be there. If we want certain set of more information from the third party, we would be creating some issues over here, generating observations, and then we will be finalizing with the third party. And eventually, when we are satisfied, then the whole request, onboarding request, can be marked as closed. So this is uh, the fishbone analysis, the fishbone diagram of the assessment instance lifecycle, which we will be discussing in detail during our training. Now comes the question of what do you mean by fourth party. So suppose my organization, which is a credit card company, is associated with a plastic vendor, which is a third party for me. But that plastic vendor is also dependent on a particular chemical company for treatment of the plastics. So for me as a credit card company, that chemical company would be a fourth party, because the third party is interacting with that chemical company, and I'm not directly interacting, but my organization business is also dependent on that chemical company. So that, because if that chemical company do not provide their uh, raw materials in time, then plastics would not be processed, and eventually my business would be impacted. So that that's why the service now offers this fourth party thing, so that we can also manage the fourth parties associated with our third party, not manage, basically monitor all those fourth party records, and that information can also be requested from the third party, and so that those information is also saved in the ServiceNow side, means the organization side. So any other example which I have already quoted in the slide, that your company stores their payroll information in ADP. Some of us might be using this automatic data processing for our payroll thing, which in turn uses AWS to store the data. So for me, this AWS would become actually a fourth party. AWS is often a third party supplier of services. In this case, AWS is a fourth party to the organization's third party ADP. So these records are also stored in an organization, and ServiceNow facilitates this through certain tables which stores this information. So as you can see in this snippet, the fourth party questionnaires are also there. The similar way, these questionnaires can also be customized. The weightage can also be uh, tweaked whenever required. So we have a dedicated tab for the fourth party, and which we will be discussing in future. There's one point written that the fourth party registration questionnaire is added to the assessment before it is submitted to the vendor. So suppose you want certain set of information from a party, you will present those questions to your third party, means to your direct linkage party, and then third party will eventually ask for those information from the fourth party, so that you will get a combined set of answers from your third party as well as from your fourth party. These are the risk rating which I was talking about. Definitely you can create your new as well. These are the risk rating that very high. means you have scored very less points in the questionnaire, 0 to 19. So it's a high risk vendor, very high risk vendor. And if it is between 20 to 39, it's a high risk, moderate 40 to 59, low is 60 to 79, very low is 80 to 100. So this score is calculated based on the questions which we have presented to the vendor. Each question carries a weightage, and based on the weightage, we calculate the score in the generating observation stage. And based on this score, this risk rating is associated with a particular vendor. So in order to get to tier those vendors, basically we use this risk rating. And this is definitely customizable. You can customize it as well as create your own new and apply in your organization. There are various metrics available, questions, like metrics of, in the same way in the previous slide which I told about the risk ratings are there and the risk scores are there. So these type of things are actually known as assessment metrics. The weightage of each question is highlighted in green over here. You can weight this up, this particular questions. The question is, do you currently publish ESG disclosures or any corporate report? Based on your response uh, type of yes or no, you can apply the weight and you can customize this. So this is basically assessment metrics. I think I have already explained this life cycle, that submitted to third party, response received, generating observation, and finalizing with the third party. So this is the assessment life cycle. Portal we have already discussed. Uh, this is actually the portal uh, view of the. So this is not the portal view. I'll just check the. This is the third party portal. Yeah, this is the portal view, because in our portal we have this PP user. PP user is a third party primary contact, which I will be using in my training. So I think the name is Pat. So this will be when a user logs into the SVDP portal. This is the screen which he will land, and it will show the assessments over there. If there are any new assessment that a particular user wants to take, then he will go to this tab. If there are any issues ongoing, this is the issues tab. Task is there, FAQs are there. So you can see that there are due soon issues, activities are there. So two are very nearly due. So Pat Palmer, I think the name is Pat. So Pat can either directly assign these issue to himself, or can assign these issues or the task to various other secondary contacts. So this is the portal which they will be getting, and definitely we can customize this image and everything for a particular organization. This is the assessment tab which I was talking about. There are certain questions which are presented. The progress is there, how much question is answered, what is the status, whether it's new or work in progress. And if the particular user is done with all these questionnaires, then they can submit this assessment to the organization, means ServiceNow instance. Then ServiceNow people or the organization people will be able to view those responses on this site. So when I was talking about viewing this response, when Pat is able to submit those response, this is the view which I'll be getting as a ServiceNow team. They have answered 100% all the questions, and they are in the received state. And this will be the button, view responses button, and over there you can see what exactly they have answered, and if there are certain issues and all, you can definitely create those issues manually as well as due to submission rules as well, which I'll be talking during training if you want automatic issue creation as well. So this was the questions and the document request which we presented, which is in the currently is received state. So yeah, that is same thing. In the workspace, the assessment record contains links to questionnaires and the documents reports in the overview tab. So basically, it's a dedicated tab in the workspace where we can see these responses and where we can log the issues if required. Okay. Okay. Now I was talking about issue creation. So this is the screen. This is the questionnaire template being sent, which is in the received state. But suppose this question, do you have documented policies? And the user has answered as no. So I want to create this question as an issue. So I will just check mark this checkbox that include this question while creating an issue. I'll write any internal comment for my organization if required, and I will write a comment for the third party that since you don't have these document policies, what is the alternate? Like this, I can write over here in the third party, and I will create a issue for tracking purpose. So this is the manual creation of issue if a particular question is not correctly answered. So and then I can click on this button, return to third party. Then my comment will be visible to the third party, as well as third party will also be aware that for this no answer, there has been an issue created because of this checkbox. And also we have this create issue button as well. Suppose I'm okay with the questions, but I see a particular issue, I can manually create an issue without associating with any particular question. So there is an option of create issue as well. I can export these responses as well. So we have the button available. Okay. I think I have already taken care of these things like notes and comment section. So whatever the comments are present, these comments will be visible in the vendor management portal in the comment section. Like in this screen, you can see that Pat Palmer, which was my third party, when I asked for the particular document from the third party, they attached that document and applied their comment, attach policy in draft. Then the ServiceNow people said, thank you. Then the ServiceNow people can actually resolve those issues. The organization can resolve this issue. So similar way, these issues are created. There is also a automatic provision of issue creation as well that is taken care by issue generation rules, and we have the template for that issues available. And the manager or assessor may set up these generation rules to automatically generate an issue when certain criteria is met. So we have a dedicated table for this issue generation rules, and we can control the state, and based on whenever the certain question is not correctly answered or whenever a certain criteria is not met, we can definitely automatically create a issue. So manually, I think I have already shown that new issues can be created with this new button in the workspace, as well as while viewing the response, which I was talking in the previous slides, that we can check box a check mark and we can manually create those issues. Those issues are actually created in SN_GRC issues table, which I'll talk about in the training. But you can remember those issues are prefixed by VRI. As you can see in the screen, VRI 1001, 1005, those are the actual issues. And we have those issues open over here as well. Manual, I have already explained that from the third party response, we have this checkbox. So you can create the issues from their side. Once the issue is created, then the question associated will be marked as yellow over here. Yellow. Do you have a data center policy? And if you can see that the issue is already logged in the system, then you will see this yellow flag over there with the name as issue. So there will be a two section that the internal comments is there, or the comments of vendor